walls rise where villages fall. Concrete shadows on the water's call. Big walls stand where paths once ran. Security guards tell us who we can be. They say development, they say progress, but whose future are we protecting next? When locals stand at the edge and stare at a beach they cannot dare to share.
You say the law must take its course, but law without justice is silent force. If freedom came but access didn't, then independence stayed unfinished. The
Shore is ours, not just a few, not the scraps, not the leftover views, not beaches chosen to keep us quiet, while the best ones fuel a private diet. The shore is ours, time to decide, do we serve the people or the tide of pride? You can't build paradise on
Yes, you have the ability to listen to the full soundtrack at the end of the video, and please share it. It's a powerful message that needs to be distributed. Now, let's get into our story. Greetings everyone, I hope all is well. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. It takes a lot to create content and I want to share more. So I want to grow this channel because I think it's important to have a space that people think critically about things affecting Jamaica, and also make a connection with the historical context too of Jamaica and our culture and our music. So I will also talk about a little bit about technology because I think that's so important in reshaping Jamaica. So sit back and relax. I'm going to take you on a deep conversation as I drive through Negril and touch on a few other places. This conversation has been somewhat bothering me for the last couple of years. I've heard several people talk about it, and I want to really put out a theory basis on which we can go forward. Because for far too long, I think Jamaicans have not had access to the resources that we own. For example, our rivers, the water, and of course the beaches. But how do we get to this stage? And I want to take you on a little journey before I really go into two communities and two spaces to identify some things that people are talking about or some areas that people have no knowledge about. So let's get started with some bit of history as it relates to accessing our beaches, accessing our water, and asking the critical question, why has this system remained the same? Why have we not changed it after independence? Because the laws that were pre-independence are still affecting us to access these spaces. And my question is, for both individuals, set of government individuals, why are you not changing it and ensuring that people have access to the beaches and also to the rivers? So let's get started with a little history. The foreshore, the area between the high and the low tide, and of course the floor of the sea off Jamaica's coastline are legally vested in the Crown, meaning the Jamaican state government owns it, unless the rights were specifically granted under the Jamaica Land and Law Act. Crown lands today means land owned and managed by the government of Jamaica through entities like the Commission of Lands. The public rights versus private control, that's an area that we need to look at. There's no automatic constitutional right for Jamaican citizens to use or access beaches and the sea for bathing or recreation. So that's fundamentally an issue. Now, the Beach Control Act of 1956 still governs beaches. It does not provide inherent public access rights. It mainly regulates and licenses the use, can obtain license and often control practical access to beaches landward of the beach. This means some beaches, while legally public, are controlled, of course, through private lands like resort properties and so forth. Now, we have to look at this. This means Jamaicans do not have access to the beaches based on these laws. But you have to ask the question, why are these laws still standing? Why have they not changed? Practical solutions we have to consider. Many of Jamaica's most popular beaches are surrounded by hotels or private developments that control access use. So therefore, even if you had access to the beach, you had to go through these properties, you would not be allowed. In short, beaches and coastal waters are normally public and owned by the government, Crown lands, but access and the right to use are tightly regulated. These laws have not changed. We inherited it after independence and we have still continued with it. Now, let us look at the river and the water bodies in Jamaica. Now, let us look at the water resources laws. Jamaica does not have a specific law declaring individual rivers owned by private persons in an ordinary sense. Instead, the management and control of the water resources, including the river water, is regulated by the Water Resource Act of 1995. Now, let us look at the rights and usage. The law does not clearly define private ownership of a river. Instead, what is considered a public natural resource managed by the WRA on behalf of the nation. Licenses are required, of course, to take and use water for purposes beyond domestic use. For example, irrigation, industrial use, and commercial extraction. River water and island water resources are treated as national water resources, regulated by law. The government, through the WRA and regulated agency, control how water is used and allocated rather than private ownership of the water itself. So I want to keep those things in mind because I'm going to touch on it later, because I think that is so important for us to understand that the resources are owned by, of course, the government of Jamaica. So don't be fooled. The government of Jamaica, including two major parties, have the ability to change the law based on coming together. And if you argue GLP or PNP, it's not about it. It's giving people the access to the resources of the country. I'm thinking that tourists and, of course, the locals can work hand in hand. I want to take you to another area located in St. James. This area is called Banana Spring. And it was called Banana Spring because a stream ran through it consistently for decades, for centuries, until, of course, in the 1990s, the water was harvested by, of course, a developer who practically took over the area and harvested all the water, and then the water disappeared. But thank goodness for, of course, Melissa. It broke the pipes, broke everything, and the water is now running. People are enjoying what they had before. Let me tell you this. There is an arrangement between the government and, of course, these individuals supplying the hotels as it relates to the water being pumped out of this area. But what I say at this point, it was good to see the people again enjoying, as a matter of fact, washing, enjoying themselves just as it was in the olden days. Yes, we got a little taste of that, thank goodness. Melissa brought some issues, yes, but at the same time, it allowed us to be a part of what things used to be like. And people came down, apart from the garbage, they had people bringing down washing machines, they had individuals just enjoying the atmosphere, they had clothesline, generators were brought in. And this is the stream that used to be before, of course, an agreement was made. And the government of Jamaica is aware of this agreement because this individual or this company now sells the water to, of course, the hotels along the North Coast. That's the reality. So individuals after this, they might say, all right, let's shut the water off again and harvest the water because the hotels are now in full force and this will go. But the people had the water before. They enjoyed this. And of course, a lot of people in the community spoke about this. Those individuals have gone on to another life. But what I say to you at this point, for some people who say it's a person's water, the water belongs to the people. And of course, if you want to read more, I'm going to put some links in so you can understand that the water belongs to the people. The water belongs to the people. And that is what I was seeing here. Seeing that is important. And I just enjoyed watching these individuals enjoying what they had always wanted to enjoy. I wanted to find out what's happening here. I saw people in the morning buying fish, enjoying. Some were fishing on the rocks, as you can see there. The birds were flying, wonderful atmosphere. This is my Jamaica. And as I was about to talk and I looked around, I saw someone that caught my eyes. He was talking about what is going to happen to this area. And I said, why do you say that? He was quick to point out to me that this area now is going to be occupied by others. And they that have fished there for the longest while will not have access. Yes. So the wonderful fisherman, there it is, right there. That's a surveyor's marcation. And that's what he showed me. This is what is happening. This land has been surveyed and it's already been bought. And of course, they will not have access. The locals know the game already. They know when these individuals come to survey the place and they put down these spikes into the ground, they know what's happening. Another development is coming. And the reality for them is that they have lost everything along that coastline already based on the walls. And now this wonderful site is going to be, of course, gone. And that's their fear. I asked them what would happen, and they just don't know. They just don't know. There it is again. That markation, the man kept pointing to it. There it is, that's a markation, that's where it's going to start. Yes, so this wonderful site they have and the wonderful place that they enjoy will soon be gone. They know that. You know, I am not sure, but that's what they're telling me. I have to go according to them based on the experiences of what we have seen across the island. So we have to ask ourselves a question. When we allow individuals to take up all these beaches and not give the locals access, what happens? What happens when you come from a country that you can't enjoy the resources? Yes, it tells me that there's something logically wrong when you have individuals from a location not being able to access to enjoy. Yes, the common factor is people want to enjoy the spaces. They want to use these spaces to do what they've been doing for decades, what their ancestors have been doing for the longest time. And if we take away these areas from them, what happens? But there's another thing also happening. In this little area, there's also a river running into the scene. And of course, I had to take a deeper look because I think it's important to just document things as they're taking place. So there, what I did was to take a walk over and just to have a view. I did not take a wide angle shot of this because I thought it's not to document people who don't want to be documented. But the bottom line is, this is a wonderful space. The river runs right into the space. And it's something that people do on a Sunday morning. They go and they wash their cars. They wash their clothes. They have some nice talk at the beach. And of course, they'll go fishing too. And of course, also, they'll do other things. But what happens when the spaces are taken away? What happens when they can't use these spaces? Yes, and there are some questions that we need to ask, especially in the public interest. If Jamaica's beaches and rivers are national resources, why is it public access is so restricted and controlled by private interest? Another question that we need to ask, what legal mechanisms allow private developments to effectively limit access to beaches and riverbanks that are legally owned by the state? And we have to ask other questions. Who is responsible for reinforcing public access rights? And why is the reinforcement inconsistent across parishes and development? And another question we need to ask, how are river water extractions and beach usage licenses monitored to ensure that they do not harm the communities, as we have seen in the one I showed you earlier, our ecosystems and the future water security? Jamaica must modernize its colonial-era laws to ensure that people have access. And the question is, how are we going to do that? Come on, everyone, politicians, public advocate people. We need to have access to our waters. Because remember, you can't do that. Recreation is a part of humanity and individuals need their spaces. I am Rohan Jawala, and I just thought I would share some critical thoughts. I look forward to your feedback. Remember to like, subscribe to this channel.
This land, this sea, this right, this claim was never meant to carry colonial chains. The shore is ours, hear the people cry. No more waiting while the years pass by. Justice delayed is justice denied.
We are not guests on our own coastline. Hotels towers rise where villages fall. Concrete shadows on the water's call. Big walls stand where paths once ran. Security guards tell us who we can be. They say development, they say progress, but whose future are we protecting next? When locals stand at the edge and stare at a beach they cannot dare to share.
You say the law must take its course, but a law without justice is silent force. If freedom came but access didn't, then independence stayed unfinished. The
Shore is ours, not just a few, not the scraps, not the leftover views, not beaches chosen to keep us quiet, while the best ones fuel a private diet. The shore is ours, time to decide, do we serve the people or the tide of pride? You can't build paradise on exclusion and call delay careful execution. We are not asking, we are reminding that centuries have passed and patience has been exhausted, that colonial laws were never designed for justice, equity, or dignity. That development without access is displacement dressed in policy. That the descendants of the enslaved should not need permission to touch the sea their ancestors were denied. The time is not coming.
The time is now.
The shore is ours, lift your voice, stand tall. This is a national moral call.
Reform the law, unlock the gate. Justice cannot continue to wait. The shore is ours for child and elder, not later, not slower, not gentler. History is watching what we choose. Access denied is freedom refused. Oh.
One day the walls will fall to sand. The law will finally meet the land. When progress walks with dignity and access becomes our legacy.